right. This is going to be such a great show because people, audience, anyone who's listening, most people think a safe job means stability, security, and a predictable path. But what happens when the proverbial rug gets pulled out right from under you? Well, that is exactly what happened to today's guest, Sherry Andrew. After getting fired from her so-called safe job after 17 years, she faced a serious financial wake-up call. With sheer determination and a lot of budgeting elbow grease, she turned her household finances around, avoid digging a debt hole, which is incredible, and discovered a whole new path. This is super cool, financial coaching. So now she helps others navigate life's curveballs by taking control of their money and spending in alignment with their values. Along the way, she also discovered that we have so many similar stories, like you have no idea. Along the way, she also discovered she also has ADHD like me, a realization that not only shaped her personal growth, but also her business. Oh, and here's a fun twist. She's been best friends with her best friend since kindergarten. That's amazing, which says a lot about her loyalty and staying power. Sherry, welcome to Curveball. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here and share my story to help inspire others. And I never planned to be an entrepreneur. I was just going to work out my years in my manufacturing job, and life went, no, because I was ignoring the signs. I used to have a good quarterly cry at work.
Oh, yeah.
And so, no, it's fine. It's fine. I'll just keep working until I retire.
Right. I know. Like the things I know, former corporate gal here myself. So tell me a little bit about your job. Like what happened? 17 years is almost 20 years. So that's like a long time. So what was going on? And then just tell me everything.
Yeah. So I worked in a manufacturing plant. I had worked my way up through the ranks and was in a leadership role, kind of like the middle leadership role that I like to call the shit
What
sandwich.
Did you manufacture? What did you manufacture?
We were a packaging plant for cheese. So slices, shred, got the cheese in giant blocks and made it down into consumer size packaging. So
amazing.
Learned a lot about cheese, but like was promoted up, and like it was a very small, like not small, but like it was owned by, like the owner was there every day, and then it changed ownership and the owner wasn't there, and it lost that like family connection. And then, stuck in the middle between trying to keep the management happy and trying to keep the employees happy. And it's just not possible. And now I know ADHD probably played a part into it, because perfectionist tendencies, rejection sensitivity, all of those things.
Right. Your weird reliance on like very strange processes and systems that work for you, but you're just like, you have a lot of like rigidity, but then a lot of fluidity too at the same time. Like, I totally get that. Well, and then with new ownership too, like, it's like I had a job where I had 8 changes in reporting relationships in 7 years. And I am just like, oh my gosh. And every time you get a new boss, like it slows you down, like for sure. And then I would have to start over and like reconfigure and rejigger everything we're doing now, because they had to have like their thumbprints on it. And I just remember thinking like, this is a lot. Like it was a lot to take it. And I also had undiagnosed ADHD. So they were probably just like, who is this? Like, because when I was having a tough time, people for sure knew it. I definitely had an edge about me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then
I remember.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I remember one time in particular where this gentleman who like I worked with on a fairly regular basis, we were just walking down a corridor at work, and he just asked me about a project that, I had on my plate, and he asked for the timeline. No pressure, not like rude or hostile at all. And this guy, like, he was a little socially awkward, not like warm and fuzzy people person. He asked me, and I just started crying, because like the one last straw, and I was disappointed in myself that I hadn't done it. And this poor guy, he's just like, and I ignored all those signs. I ignored everything and just thought, just going to keep working, because that's what people do. People aren't supposed to enjoy what they do for money.
Oh my gosh. Like, isn't that just so, well, you know what they say, like I've been reading a lot about the educational system, because I really feel like if we want change in America, 2 things need to change. women need to earn equal pay, number one. And number two, we really got to fix the educational system, because if you don't have a good, I mean, you're sort of like, you're not, just all your chances are just like so unbelievably limited, right? And so, but they talk a lot about how the educational system is designed for like manufacturing and industry. So you create a bunch of like sort of drones. And did you
Yep.
like, you were one of those people. And there, and I don't want to make it seem either like I have a judgment about it either, because I don't at all. Like, but I do think it's how it's so easy to fall into that trap. And then I'm sure as you kept on moving your way up, like, did you have a union and stuff like that?
No,
Too?
thankfully we
Okay.
weren't a union, because I wouldn't have done well in a leadership role.
Right. I don't know why I just do not see you like in the union like situation, but I could see like how you feel like, okay, I'm not in love with it. And did your parents like sort of, I'm from the Midwest in the United States, and I know you're in Canada, but my parents were all from the Midwest, and there's such risk aversion in the Midwest that it's amazing for how much ingenuity and ambition there is that comes out of that part of the country. Because all your parents are just like, you're lucky anyone's even working, like even hired you. Like you're lucky to have a job that anyone's even paying you. Like the idea of happiness or career fulfillment. I remember I quit my job to find a new job. My parents were like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not happy. And they're like, happy? What does that have to do with anything? And I'm just like, so was that sort of to the narrative you grew up in too?
Yeah, like being happy and fulfilled and having joy at a job was not something that even crossed my radar. And part of it too was
Right.
after I got fired, I had this trip that I already had booked and paid for. And it was going to Peru to hike the Inca Trail, which was fantastic. And on this trip, I met these people that loved their jobs. And I had to leave the country on vacation to not get work phone calls while I was off. And it's just like, wait, you love your job? You're excited to go back? What is this?
Yeah.
This isn't possible. This isn't a thing. Like, you work for money and you don't work for any type of satisfaction. Like, what?
Okay, but clearly something happened, because here you are you're a financial coach now. So you said something really interesting to me, which is I was ignoring all these signs. And what I thought was interesting is you sort of resigned yourself into this position. But talk to me a little bit about what signs, like when did you start feeling sort of the itch? And then I'm just so curious, like you sort of feel like this ambition, you want to do something, then something happens where you keep your, like, what was that conversation you would have in your head? And then when did it start? And aren't you grateful that you got fired, in many
I'm
ways
so
too,
grateful.
because
so grateful.
I don't know. Like when I get my tarot cards read, I always get the card where the people are jumping out of like a burning building, because I'm also an entrepreneur, because I got fired from my job, which I think is, I was like, and I got late diagnosis ADHD. I'm like, oh my God, we have so much in common.
Twins. Yeah. Yes. So I lost my job in early July, and then there was back and forth. There was lawyers involved. It was quite the process, because, like the province that I was in is different from like the head office. So my lawyer had to go through a lot of things and like help educate them about the rules and stuff like that. And so it was actually like the end of October before things got finalized. And through that time, like the days after I lost my job, I sat down, like, okay, what can we cut? What can we cut from the budget? And then the settlement happened. And then I went on the trip to Peru, and I came home, and actually part of the severance was working with a career coach to help with like resume writing and interviewing. And my first meeting with her when I came back from Peru, she's just like, whoa, something's different. What is different? I'm like, I just learned that people can love their jobs. Like, what? And she's, okay. And then thankfully she challenged me. She's like, okay, what do you enjoy doing? I'm like, well, I've really learned a lot about money personally. And I think that I could help with other people with that. And I immediately dismissed it and said, oh, but I can't, like, that's not a career. I can't make money doing that. And she's like, you can't? And of course she gave me some homework, and I looked and I found first financial counseling and then financial coaching, just kind of like, wait a minute. People are building businesses and careers off of helping other people with their money. And
Right.
like, okay, let's do it. It was scary, but I'm so glad I took the leap.
I love this story so much. I was just on a call. I'm in a mastermind with a lot of early stage entrepreneurs, and we have like this energy, like we get to work with this like absolutely gorgeous guy, like who's also like an energy healer. So he's like super chill, like he's amazing. But so many people were talking about like, like there's this one woman who teaches like parents how to parent. She's like, but I don't have a PhD, but she runs like all these schools. Like she has all these schools, like she has so many qualifications and like so many things like keep people like on the sidelines. Like, well, and she kept on saying, I don't have my PhD. And you can fool yourself into thinking you're making progress by taking like all the classes, like continuing to like educate yourself. But the only way to like actually become a good teacher is to actually start teaching. It's all a concept. So you seem to, you see like this, did you do ayahuasca or anything in Peru? Like anything that would have like, or was it truly just meeting those kind of people that you had this like mind blowing sort of mind opening experience that gave you, did you have any of that? Like, I don't like the term imposter syndrome, but you know what I mean when I say that. Like, did you ever feel like,
I basically live in imposter syndrome.
Okay, good. Let's talk about that because you still found the courage to step through that uncertainty. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So when you're just like, I'm going to do it, then what was the first thing you did after that? That's just amazing.
Well, first I like the person in your mastermind, I'm like, I have to go get some education because who's going to trust me if I don't have some type of education? So I did become an accredited financial counselor, but during my time, not one person, one person has asked me about my education. And that was somebody who was a financial planner considering like building a relationship together to help our clients. And that one, like people don't care what letters you have after your name, what education you have. They care that you know where they are and that you can help them. And there's something remarkably motivating about needing income to get you out of your comfort zone.
Yes, totally. So you said that one of the things that you did is like you completely turned, like your starting point was fixing your own finances. So talk to me about that, just because I have such an interesting relationship with finances. So I love it when I get to meet with a financial coach because I'm just like asking for a friend when really I'm asking for myself. But tell me, like, what were some of the first things you did? And I'm also curious, like budgeting without feeling deprived, or is that just part of it? Like, and I just want to know like how to budget positively and energetically, like with positive energy, as opposed to like feeling like, oh, I messed up. I can't do this. I can't have this. I can't, you can really get into like a bad sort of inner voice thing going on with that. So what were some of the first things you did with your own household budget?
I always thought that we were budgeting because what I was doing was tracking our spending. I wasn't budgeting. I was like, the bills I was budgeting, but then outside of the budget, there was credit card bills every month for $2,000-$3,000. And that then in turn led to me working more overtime to pay for the bills, to avoid getting in debt. And so the first exercise for us was like, we cut everything and we were in a place where there was no extra fluff. We were covering our essentials and that was it. And I think going through that time period and that exercise, not only did it help us to get more intentional, like for the rest of our lives, but it also helped us to really understand, like when we start to add these things back in, when we have the room, we appreciated them so much more. And it did really come down to being intentional and building those systems to make it easy to be intentional. So some people might think that I'm whacked, but I have a lot of bank accounts. My husband and I have so many bank accounts, and that's how we manage things, by separating them and giving the money a job as soon as it comes in. And we also each have fully combined finances because that's just what works for us as a couple. And we also each have personal spending accounts where every payday money goes into it. And it's for us to hoard up and save for something big or to spend as soon as it comes in. And we each independently decide what happens with that money. And I think, of course, we still have, disagreements with money and all of that stuff, but that freedom from those accounts helps us to live our lives in a way that we're not squabbling daily about money.
Right. Like, I think that is so important. I read this really interesting book that's sort of is about law of attraction, but turns law of attraction on its head, really, by saying, like, law of attraction just really keeps you in this position of wanting. But then it was like around abundance and money. Like, how do you, like, it's so tricky because we need money to start, like, we need it. We also want it. Right. So it has like all these tricky little things attached to it. But that one of the things that this book recommended that I'm doing now, which feels but to get a bunch of bank accounts, because, like, how do you start acting rich? So what people do is a lot of people will go out and start spending money like a rich person. Like, they'll spend something they literally cannot afford. Like, they'll put it on a credit card or something to get the feeling of, like, oh, well, this is what a rich person does. And really what rich people do is they manage their money. And so I just am so interested in, like, your bank accounts, like, because I know what it's like. Like, I'm starting off real small, like 5% of everything goes into these different accounts.
Yep.
But then you see it, like, it adds up really pretty quickly too. So, like, how does that, like, why does that work? Like, what happens? Like, what is it about that technique in particular? Because I had never heard that until I read this book. And you seem like you really have your shit together. Because you say, do epic shit, but you really do seem like you have your shit together. So, like, why is that such a good strategy? Like, why does that seem to work for people? Like, and then just tell me. Yeah.
I think it works, especially for individuals with ADHD, because it's like we've got that. There's a couple of reasons. Where you have your bank accounts impacts that, because out of sight, out of mind can be very helpful. So if you just start stashing 5% in a bank account that's not at your regular financial institution and it goes there automatically and you don't have to lift a finger to make it happen, you literally forget about that money. And then it's like, there's rules around it, right? You're like, oh, this is my money for vacation. Something
Right.
very significant is going to have to happen for me to take that money for something other than vacation. And you're right. Like, budgets get all this negativity around it about restriction. And, like, if you have a budget, it's no fun. But really the opposite is true, because when you have a budget, it's just like, it's having a plan for your money and saying, you know what, I want $500 a month to go to my vacation fund. And how do I do that? Like, can I get more creative with my grocery budget? Can I sell my car and buy a lower cost car? And it's really like, what is important to you? And is a fancy car and a big house important? Because for me, financial freedom and flexibility, where I don't have to work a whole lot and I don't have a whole lot of pressure to earn X amount per month. And we drive older cars, we have an older home, but, like, it's all give and take, because you decide where your money goes. But when you don't have a plan and you're not working to actively manage it, you just blink and it disappears. And I work with lots of people who have high incomes, but when we start working together, they have no idea where it goes. And then we start looking at it, they're like, oh, it's like, I spent this much on this and this much on this, but nothing on this. And my spending is very out of alignment with what's important to my life. I'm like, okay, well, let's get it in line so that it matches what's important to you and it builds the life that you want to work towards.
Right. Oh my gosh, that sounds incredible. So, like, when you meet with people, like, what's one of the biggest mindset shifts that you see people, like, they need to make when facing financial challenges?
One of the first things that when I start working with a new client, that they have to get uncomfortable and look at their numbers, because for a lot of people, especially individuals with ADHD, we get stuck in avoidance mode and we get really good at overthinking the shit out of everything. And then, maybe we have $10,000 worth of debt and then we just are paying the minimum payments, but we're still using the card and we don't look at it for 6 months. And we build up in our mind, like, well, that's got to be $20,000 in debt by now. But the first way you can lift a weight off your shoulders is really by ripping off the Band-Aid and looking at exactly where you are, because you've probably built it up in your mind worse than you actually are.
That is me 100,000%. Like, I am somebody who, believe it or not, I can go in and pull all my expenses to give to my accountant every month. And I can literally go in and do it without actually looking at any numbers. And I'm just like, God, what is my like thing around money, you know? And when I pay attention to it, when I track it, and it's like, I never am like, you know, it's always a better story than I think it is, to your point. And it's just so interesting. Like, I don't know, you know, it like this year I had like a significant health issue that I really took about 7 months off of work. And so I'm really feeling that. Like, there's a financial trade-off.
Yep.
We had savings. So we had gone, like, you know how you have like your cushion and you feel really good. Well, it's incredible, like, how fast that goes, you know, when there's really no income coming in. And then I was very loose. Like, I was sort of like, oh, I'm having, you know, brain surgery. I need to get a tattoo to commemorate it. And then let me get another one to like commemorate the post-surgery. Like, I mean, just silly things like that, like spending. I don't know. It was just like very, very interesting. And so it's really, really like bringing up a lot of, because I have a meeting with my accountant right after this call. And I am just like, I know this is going to be the worst year from a revenue year. I've been in business for 10 years. And of course, I have an extenuating circumstance. I understand. We didn't have to go into debt to like move through that situation, which is really, you know, I'm so grateful for. But in many ways, I feel like I'm starting from zero. And it literally is going to take almost everything I have emotionally to sit there and sit through that call, because it's going to be like reality, how little money I made this year. I told my husband, I said, I just feel like I'm not mad at myself. Like, I mean, I know I had like I know I would not have done anything differently. I needed to take care of myself. I had an issue with my brain, so I couldn't take on any new clients because I had no idea what was going to happen, you know, like all those things. And I just feel like, I don't know, I guess, what advice would you have for me as someone who like really wants to have this good relationship with money? And I'm like a little money making machine. Like, I can't believe like how I'm just this one person and I can make like really good money.
Yep.
And so what advice, so I'm just going to ask, like, obviously there's an audience, but I'm sure people feel like I do too. So like, what advice would you have for me? And then
I feel like the universe has our backs, because I had to reschedule this. I can't even remember why I had to reschedule, but we rescheduled for today, and it being the same day that you're going into this meeting with your accountant, I'm like, the universe had our backs here.
Yeah, I think so too. You can even see, like, I can feel myself. I'm fidgety in my chair, on my seat. Even like my body language is like, my hands are literally like so clenched. So I have a lot of body information coming. Oh, you know what? I just got this guy. Like, it's like this really bizarre looking stress thing, but it looks so dirty. I'm like, okay. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Something to keep your hands busy is always good. When I need to like pay attention and listen and watch, but not like be typing, it's something that's really beneficial. But
that's perfect. I happen to have hand putty. So I'm gonna take some hand putty out.
Handy for your meeting with your accountant.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know this stuff is always easier said than done, but first, I'm glad that you came through those health concerns, and your tattoos do look awesome.
Yes, me too. Yes, thank you.
And it's so normal to spend during a time of stress, because we do it for the dopamine, and we do it because it makes us feel calm, and it makes us like it's something that you're actively able to do versus all the other things that were not within your control.
Right.
But just like take some deep breaths, be patient with yourself, give yourself grace. And what I always like to say is, think about if somebody you love was in your shoes and they came to you and they were saying all of the things that you're thinking out loud to you.
Right.
Like, when we think about somebody else being as hard on themselves as we are on us, we can immediately like kibosh it. But when it's us, we just
Right.
like spiral and we beat ourselves up, and
Yes.
we are jerks to ourselves, especially like when you get the ADHD part in there. It's like, well, I should be able to do this. I should be able to do that. Like I should be able, like, yeah, I took 7 months off, but my income should still be the same as it was
Right.
last year, which when you say it out loud, you hear that it's like an unrealistic expectation, right? Because
right.
7 months off and all like those health issues and taking care of yourself, somebody else you would be saying to look at how well you actually did despite having to take 7 months off to take care of yourself.
Right. Maybe that's something I should be doing, like with my journaling, is just because we did go through without going into debt. We did blow through
That's
like
huge.
but we went through like our savings, right? Like, and that's what it's there for, right? So it's just like, there was a time when we didn't have that cushion. Like, I remember that time, and the thing is I remember being like so scrappy, like moving to Chicago, getting jobs in advertising, making so much less money working full-time than I did waiting on tables in college because it was a creative field. And we would do crazy things like sell our CDs for like bus fare and that kind of stuff. So I know how to do that. I think it's just this has been just really helpful to me too, just even those reminders, because it's not like it's the first time I've heard someone say, well, think about if it was someone else. But now I'm really thinking about like how hard I am being on myself. Like I had a conversation with my sister today where I was like, I'm not like ashamed of myself, but I have like something that feels like shame. And I don't know, but it's not like that shame, but I feel like, oh no, did I fuck up? Like, that's really what I thought. Like, sort of that feeling like, ooh, did I make, but then she's like, what decisions would you have made differently? And I'm like, I know. And my energy was so different. Like, I mean, when I was really affected by this thing, like, I mean, I was a very different human as well. And so I know it's just, I think the ego, like that limiting belief voice is just like, woohoo, you guys, we have a whole new set of material that we can start working with on Heather to keep her on the sidelines. So, I love how you talk about ADHD. So of course, still asking for a friend, but talk to me, like, do you tend to attract a lot of, because I attract a lot of ADHD people in my courses and things like that, because I think I have really good tools and systems. Like when I was diagnosed, when were you like, what was the first thought when you were diagnosed with ADHD?
It was, and I was talking to someone about this yesterday, like I didn't like get officially diagnosed. Like my family doctor is amazing. And because I'm self-employed, I don't need like work accommodations. So like I had a conversation with my family doctor and she's like, lots of doctors have this. I'm like, picking up what you're laying down.
Yeah.
And she's like, and here's some drugs.
Right.
She's like, do you want to try medication? And let's go through this and see if because it was very, the word's not coming to me, but it was like, so built up in my brain that like, what if I don't have it? Like, what if I just think I am? And then if I don't have it, what else is wrong with me that I have all these challenges? And so it did feel like, and my husband, he's like, yeah, I don't think you have ADHD. I'm like, if you could open a window inside of my brain and see how fast the thoughts were racing all of the time, because of course in women it presents differently. We're not, shaking our legs and in a lot of cases because it's, it's internal. And as soon as like I came from the doctor, I'm like, guess what the doctor said? So it felt very satisfying, but also like the pivotal spot in my business was, and yes, I do attract a lot of ADHDers, specifically now because I am speaking and marketing to them. But even before, when I started sharing about like that I thought I had it, and my clients were like, me too. Like, you put out that vibe, right? And people are attracted to you. So it was just earlier this year when I started medication. And so it's still very new, but being able to have that validation, and also it then in my business maybe go, how am I able to be so successful with managing our household finances, but also my business finances so that This
So like when you meet with people, like what's one of the biggest mindset shifts that you see people like they need to make when facing financial challenges?
is not a lie. I'm excited to do my taxes every year because I always try and recommend to my clients to save a little bit extra so that
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to do my taxes because when we file, I then know exactly what I owe or what more payments I have to make in addition to my quarterly payments.
Right.
And then it's like, it's a bonus for me. It's like, oh, this much is surplus. So I'm just going to pay it out into my personal as a bonus.
Right.
So it sounds ridiculous that I
No,
get excited
it
for taxes,
doesn't.
but it's a thing.
No, because you made sort of a game out of it, number one. Like that's something that I do. Like one of the things that I created is I created this journal because I love to plan. But I mean, I always say my brain is like the hoarders episode at the beginning of the show. Like, I mean, just like so jam packed. And so it's one of the things is like that you plan for one big thing. And then once you finish your one big thing, like what is you have to reward yourself with something. So
Yeah.
sometimes it can be a nap or a walk or something like that. And so, but I know like I'm doing that because, and then one of the games that I play is how long, and this has gotten, oh my God, this has been like such a game changer for me. How long do I think something's going to take? And how long does something actually take me? So when I started that little game, oh my God, did I get a sense of ADHD time? Because nothing takes 10 minutes, number one. It's a minimum of 30. And if you think something's going to take 30, it's going to take 90. And if you think something's going to take 90, it's going to take 4 hours. And if you think something's going to take 4 hours, it's going to take you 2 days. And I would see like why I would just like compress, like I would feel like so much because I understand too, you're hyper focused, but then I also was completely underestimating how long things took me. So like I would think, oh, I'm going to allocate 3 hours for this. That's going to be sufficient. But it was really comfortably 5 hours of work that I would then compress into like, so that's where there was stress. I remember the first time I took my medication and it's really hard to get in America. So like I am not on medication because it's that difficult to get refills because there's just like, I don't know, a shortage or something. But I remember the first time I took it, because my kids took it in college and they're just like, you're going to hate it because if you don't have ADHD, I guess it acts like a speed. I just felt like, oh, my brain and body. I just remember the first thing I thought, Sherry, was I was like, oh my God, school would have been so completely different for me. I was such a good student, so conscientious, but like it would have been so much more enjoyable, I
Yeah.
think, for like, I mean, I just think that, too. And so I love that, like, and I love my ADHD brain because I do think fast. I know we're way more fun at parties, like that kind of stuff too. But it is so cool that you sort of wire that in too, because again, like, and I also know with ADHD too, like so many, like budgeting and spreadsheets and that kind of stuff is so laborious to so many people. So some things like
Yeah.
boring, that's also like a
Well,
very
and
tough nut to crack.
but like trying to put things into your budget. And of course, there's times when we have to create a budget for a client that's like, you know what? You need some more income, but right now, here's the reality. And how do we
Right.
adjust this? But I really love to put systems in place for my clients that isn't a lot of time commitment each day and each week, and stepping
Nice.
back and having that big plan and then figuring out how can we add in automation. The biggest thing I love to do that I see a very quick impact with my clients is like, okay, here's your plan. Here's how much money we need for you to cover your bills each month. And here's how much money we approximately need to cover your variable spending. So groceries, gas, restaurants, entertainment. And let's put them in two separate accounts. Because
yes,
that separation then means like your bills are taken care of over here. We know they're good. And this is money like you replenish every payday, every week, every month, whatever frequency works best for you.
right.
And then you only have to manage that money covers the things in that time period that you need it to. And very quickly, my clients come back to me. They're like, Sherry, I put $500 in this account last week, but there's still 150 left in there. How is that possible? Because I thought I needed 750 in that account. every week. It's like that separation, that smaller
Right.
pot of money made you make different decisions, more intentional decisions, so that
Right.
because like the more money you have in your account, the more money you spend, even if, 3/4 of that money is for your rent, because we don't have that future timeline in our head going like, oh, but next week I have to pay rent. That's what most of this is
Right.
for. So smaller pots of money is just, it's like, okay, there's $150 left in there now. What do you want to do with it? Because you're putting more
Right.
money in tomorrow. And it can have a really big impact towards their goals. So maybe they want to put it in savings or put it extra towards debt. And it's a
Right.
really big game changer. And if I tell somebody, especially somebody with ADHD, well, you have to track your spending. You have to track every transaction. You have to put it in this journal or put it on the spreadsheet. That's why so many people create a budget and then that budget dies in the journal,
Right.
in the spreadsheet, and it doesn't get implemented because that's really where it
Right.
has an impact.
Well, I love this idea of all these separate bank accounts too, because when you're looking at things in little bite-sized pieces, it's almost like the mosaic of your finances where you're able to really see. And I like it because I do think it's sort of like a game. Like it's like you sort of gamified budgeting a little bit. And then I bet there are so many like little moments of delight in there and just insight where I don't know, it just seems like a very safe, informative way to get reacquainted with your money if you
Yeah.
have, for some reason, decided to like not pay attention to it. Okay,
Yeah.
so Sherry, if people want to work with you or they're just like, oh my God, this is incredible. I want to learn more. How can they learn more? How do they get in touch with you? How can they work with you?
Yeah, so I do offer a free consultation because I firmly believe that we have to be a good fit to work together. And if you don't get a good vibe from me and I don't get a good vibe from you, then it's not going to be fun to work together. And I'm lucky
Right.
that so many of my clients, it's like, okay, we're done our meeting, but do you have an extra 10 minutes? Because I just want to like know what's going on with the rest of your life. It's like,
Yeah.
you're going to be my friend now, right?
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, they can reach out and book a free consultation through my website, which I'll share with you so that you can add it to the show notes. But also like I'm between TikTok and Instagram. That's where I'm most active, but I couldn't tell you my
Awesome.
TikTok handle for the life of me, but I can just share those with you as well. So you can put in the comments.
Okay.
But
I am positive. What's your web address?
so www.moneymindset, F as in
Money mindset.
financials, C as in coach.com.
Okay. All
And
right. Love that.
I do a weekly blog on there, and I also have a podcast with another financial professional with ADHD that we put out a weekly episode. So it's just like really focusing on, I love my one-on-one clients. It's where I know I have the most impact, but I also know that that's not feasible for everybody. So
Right.
really focused in the last year, like how can I help more people to help themselves? And the blog and the podcast were too, like I've done the blog for a long time, but was very inconsistent, but got consistent in the last year. So
Nice. I love
really,
that.
like no matter where you are financially, I want you to be able to have financial advice tailored to how your brain works. And so
Right.
much of the advice out there isn't tailored to how ADHD brain works. And that like it builds shame and fear, which breeds avoidance. So then it spirals. And I don't want
Right.
that. Just like little steps at a time. Like when I work with a client
Yeah.
one-on-one, we can go fast because they've got direct support. But if you're doing it on your own, just like be patient with yourself and focus on
Right.
the direction more than the speed. And when you think somebody else is doing better than you because of what they put out on social media or the car they drive or the home they
Right.
live in, like I have a unique perspective to know that's not always the case. They're often like more money, more problems. You have a higher
Yeah.
income, you can get access to more debt, higher loans, but it's still lots of those people that are really in good jobs are still living paycheck to paycheck.
Right. Like my former neighbor was my physical therapist and they changed their practice where you would go to people's homes. And so she worked with people who like she'd worked with them for a long time. And she said what was so interesting to her, the bigger the house, the more chronic the pain. So like when she knew she had a client that she worked with for like years who had chronic pain, she's like, oh, I know I'm going to drive up to a really nice big house. And I thought that was so then
That
we
is
did like this
interesting.
very informal sociological study on that, which I think is really interesting. But it is like, I just remember being out with this woman who, oh my God, you would just think like she was just had so like she would like light a cigar with like $100 bill. You know what I mean? Like one of those kind of people. She always had like the most outrageous like cupcakes and cookies. Like she was like this, cookie mom, like just so over the top. And I was so intimidated by her. And I remember being out and like, and she was going to buy this pack of cards. She had 3 credit cards declined. And I was like, I
yeah.
know it.
It's not always as it appears.
Yeah. And there's this documentary on Netflix now called Buy Now, which everybody should watch because it made me really rethink like how we consume things, but more importantly, when we throw them away, it's such an abstract concept of what happens to all this stuff. I have so much stuff, like so many clothes, like, oh my gosh. Sherry, I know you have to hop off. This has been absolutely such a pleasure. You break it down in such a easy, and this is so funny. You started my Siri again. That's hilarious. Like, I don't know why. Ms. Andrew, that's what I wanted to say. I just want to thank you so much. I feel like these small actionable steps, being at those separate accounts, I think are such a game changer. And thank you so much. And for the work that you do and helping people, especially.
Thank you so much for having me.
I really loved it.
Yeah, it's been great to connect with you. And I look forward to like listening to your episodes and getting to know more of your guests because you've got a lot of great information to share as well.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. You take care, dear.